Hey y'all, I'm back with the DIY embellishments video. I'm super excited to share this one with you all. I am mainly focusing on stamps and I'm mainly focusing on keeping these really simple. For those of you who are just starting out or maybe just want some like basic information and may not have like a ton of tools on hand, this will be perfect for you. I'm going to try to create several of these like little installments where I use like just scraps, or the main focus will be just tools. A lot of my embellishment videos, I use a ton of different stuff, and so I really wanted to keep these videos that are going to be kind of in a series over the next several weeks just super simple. So let's get started. I am starting by just looking through my scraps that I used from my traveler's notebook that I created in the last video. And what I'm doing is I'm just right now finding a base for my embellishments, or finding a good little anchor to stamp some little icons on. And how I do that is I basically look for like solid backgrounds, solid-ish, I guess, backgrounds. So maybe a little bit of a pattern in the background, but you want to pay attention to things that will be able, like stamps that will be able to stand out on paper. So that's what I did, is I separated some of my papers out so that I could find some backgrounds. Next, I'm looking for some stamps, and one really great tip that I have thought more about recently, I guess, is finding stamps or creating embellishments that are going to be for upcoming projects. So I know that we're staying home a lot and I have a lot of photos. I guess, let me say this too. Also finding stamps or creating embellishments that go with photos that you've recently taken. I guess that makes a little bit more sense, because I've taken a lot of photos at home from quarantine, and I've baked a lot, and I've also I guess drink a lot of coffee as well. So I'm trying to find different things that might go well with those particular photos. And so I actually just chosen some really general sayings as well, but also some things that I know will go great for some photos that I've taken from home, and some photos that I've taken of either like food or so on, I guess. Okay, so I'm stamping those out, and I'm using VersaFine ink, which is my favorite black ink to use. It's a little bit messy, but it's the most crisp ink that I've been able to find. And so I'm going to stamp those out onto I would say patterns, onto my backgrounds, and then I'm going to start working with the different layers. So now that I have them stamped out, I'm going to kind of decide how I want to cut those out. So some tips for this is you can use your trimmer, of course, to get like a nicer edge, but you don't have to cut these into straight lines. Also, you can use your tools, and I'll get to that in just a second. But one thing that I've found that's really helpful for like adding interest to your embellishments is cutting them in banner shapes, or using just kind of a different, and you'll see here what I'm talking about, but using kind of a different technique, like a banner shape or an arrow shape, in order to make your embellishment stand out a little bit more. And you can do that. What I like about it is you can do it with scissors. You see my daughter handed me a green paintbrush there. Anytime I'm in my craft space, she wants to be right next to me, which is totally fine. And so I just encourage her to bring her own stuff in here, so she's not like constantly grabbing the stuff that I'm working with if I'm shooting a video. And then she gave me a stamp on my hand just then. So I cut a couple of those pieces out, and I did use my trimmer just because I'm not the best at cutting things. And then what I'm doing is I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to layer up underneath some of those stamped images. And so this is another, I think, quick tip would be not to pull too much stuff out, because I get super overwhelmed when I'm looking through all my things and I want to create all these embellishments and these ideas are flowing. And one thing that I found is I'm going to stick with like just a set of, like a stack of pattern papers, just like 3 or 4 stamp sets that have maybe like 5 to 10 stamps that I want to use, and then maybe just a couple little tools to help me out that are already sitting next to my desk. And then I have these little bins over to the left hand side that I keep just little bits and pieces that I haven't used, or that I pull for scrapbooking things when I'm looking for something smaller. And I like to have that close by, just because projects like this, plus when I'm just creating everyday projects, sometimes I want to pull little bits and pieces out just to add just a quick little snap of interest, I guess. So I pulled a couple things and then I'm adding those to my embellishments. So you'll see here that I'm looking to layer something underneath that one stamped image, not like underneath the stamped image on top of the other circular image that I've pulled. And then same with this cloud, I pulled that just so I could have something backing this little arrow piece that I created. And then I found a little, I think I ended up finding a butterfly, yeah, for this one. Another tip is so that your embellishments don't come out super perfect, I guess. I like the imperfect look, is layering your circles kind of like off-centered so that it just gives kind of a more modern and rustic feel, I guess. That's kind of two different things, but I guess it's to keep you from creating the same looking embellishments, but also from just having traditional circular like embellishments that are very layered, which is what I used to do. And I like to keep them like, again, I like to have different shapes, but I also like to, when I do circular embellishments, which I still love, I like to kind of off center those a little bit. And so I'm going to put the ones aside that I really want to sew, and I've sewed on top, right on top of those. And then the other ones, I just used my tiny attacher to staple. So you'll notice on a lot of these that I sewed little strips down rather than sewing all over the entire embellishment. And the reason I did that is because it gives it a more layered and three-dimensional feel. These are the ones with the tiny attacher there that I'm showing you. Or no, actually I'm showing you the ones that I layered and the ones that I sewed and the ones that I did the tiny attacher. But here's a finished look at the embellishments. I love the way they turned out. If you guys want to see more, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.